This podcast represents the opinions of the hosts of the Laugh Cry Club and guests on the show. The content here should not be taken as medical advice and is for informational purposes only. And because each person is so unique, please consult your healthcare professional for any medical questions. Views and opinions expressed in the podcast are our own and do not represent that of our places of work. While we make every effort to ensure that the information we share is accurate, we welcome any comments, suggestions, or correction of errors. Welcome to the club. Hi, everybody.
Welcome.
Hello. Missed you guys. I missed you guys. But before we talk about how much we miss each other, I'm Joy.
I'm Rebecca.
I'm Chelsea.
And welcome to the Laugh Cry Club. Thank you so much for joining us for another week of wonderful talk with 3 licensed therapists who are here to put goodness into the world and laugh and cry and tell about stories that make you laugh and cry. I have a really good one this week, so I can't wait to dive in. But this week, we're going to talk about our laugh cry moments, and then we're going to talk about acceptance. Like when your reality is kind of objectively difficult, how do you lean into the acceptance? Because that's really hard. That's just objectively hard. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Thank you for your 5-star reviews. Even Rebecca's dog gave us 5 paw reviews.
Yeah.
I also have to kind of put a plug in that I really enjoy when people leave comments. So I'm just saying, if you can take 2 seconds to write a comment, every day I refresh the app to see if we have new comments. So that would just make me happy if you want to do a good deed today. But really, 5-star rating and review and subscribing on whatever podcast platform you're on really, really helps the show. We cannot say that enough. So welcome, everybody. How are you doing? Chelsea, how was Vegas?
Vegas was so much fun. It was amazing. I had the best time ever, and it took me a week to recover because I think maybe I got sick, but I'm if you're sick, all you do is eat more vitamins and sleep. So that I'm I've got it. I'm okay. So that's what I've been doing, eating vitamins and sleeping. But now I'm back. Now I'm great again. All my energy is back. I'm very grateful.
Did you get delayed on the way home too, though?
I did. So I did get delayed on the way home. But on the way home, it was this tiny little plane and we're all delayed together. So I made friends with everybody on the plane and the steward, is that what they call it? Or the flight attendant?
Flight attendant.
Yeah.
Thank you for correcting me. The flight attendant.
Steward was 70s.
I wasn't even born in the 70s, but apparently I'm hip to old words. Anyways, he felt so bad for us. He was we could have as many free snacks and cocktails as we wanted, but I had to drive home. So I didn't have any cocktails or snacks. I was just very grateful to be able to get home.
All right. So we just got back from Vegas. And Rebecca, how was your week? How are you doing? What's new in your world?
Hey, I'm doing great. I just got back from Canada, actually. So
you went to Banff.
I did.
What was your favorite part? It looked so beautiful. You were texting us pictures.
My favorite part was being with my best friend and her fiance. So that was fun. And my wife was there. So it was a couple's vacation. Yeah. That was fun. So lots of hiking. I'd say my favorite part was riding for 30 miles. I rode from Canmore to Banff and back. That was fun. And the temperatures, 40s to low 70s, instead of the inferno of Texas that I live in.
Yeah.
So that was very nice.
You were sending us photos and they looked like postcards. It was beautiful.
Well, they actually are postcards. I'm sure you can buy them anywhere. Because we went to Lake Louise and it's the most photographed lake with mountains around it ever.
Yeah, it was pretty
amazing. You can find it on the internet.
So Rebecca was just sending us pictures of postcards?
Yeah.
I actually didn't even leave my house.
You're oh my gosh, it's so funny. This reminds me of a TikToker who is so funny. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she went up next to a mannequin in a store and took a photo and acted like it was her boyfriend and put a face on top of it. So it was so she doesn't really have a boyfriend, but she put it was just so funny. It's kind of like that where you just kind of pretend like you have this life, or you go somewhere that looks like a jet and you're on a private jet. That's really what you're doing, Rebecca.
And you're really in the bathroom.
Oh, and I had to fly to Canada, so I'm going to post a video and let you know I checked on all my TSA agents.
They're doing okay.
great service. So I'll post that video
Please do.
to our Instagram. So check out our Instagram account.
At Laugh Cry Club. Rebecca, what is your rating for the TSA experience out of 5 stars? Because we only do 5 stars here.
I'm going to say 4.
Okay.
Because there's some room for improvement, of course.
Always.
And we're going to work on that.
Except for us. We only get 5 stars on our show.
Not us. But I am, I'm the supervisor. I'm the TSA captain. So, I've got to have a job still. So I need to be able to help them improve some.
Yeah. Okay.
But they're doing good.
I want to throw in that I had an awesome TSA guy when I was leaving. Where was I? One of the airport. Oh, it was when I was stuck in Dallas. And he was saying this, don't be shy, get in line, let's fly. Or don't be shy, we're going to fly. Like he had this rhyme and I was like, please let me get in his line. He was so on point. I was like 50 people deep in the line. And by the time I got up there, the enthusiasm was still spot on. So I'm going to give the Dallas-Fort Worth TSA morning shift worker on a Friday, maybe afternoon shift worker. I'm giving him 5-star review.
That's actually one of my best employees that you interacted with. So, and
good job, him. And that's Rebecca's work.
That is my work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you recognized it.
Good job.
I made an excellent job with nominating Rebecca. Good job, Rebecca.
Yeah, and that was episode 1. I mean, we're only on episode 7, I think this is. So, I mean, who knows what things we're going to change by the end of this show.
We're going to change the world.
I think so. One fun TSA moment at a time.
Well, actually, one podcast at a time. I mean, these podcasts are so informative and fun.
And funny.
Yes. Like people want to tune in. I'm hearing all these rave reviews from people about how much they love this. So we're going to keep creating content.
The only thing we're going to say to our listeners is thank you.
Thank you.
That's the only thing we're going to say is thank you.
The only thing. And that's a flashback to episode 2. I think it's episode 2. Okay, Chelsea, who are we nominating this week for the laugh cry moments?
Well, Joy, I would love to hear about your laugh cry moments. So I'm going to pass it to you.
Because I built it up so much. I texted you about it. I was like, I have a really good one. Okay, so mine is one of those days, which I can't help but think, it's just one of them days. You know that song? Where I'm feeling inside. I don't know the rest of the song, but
you're going to have to sing it more for me to recognize it.
But then it'll be illegal.
Exactly. I can't sing more. That's all you get. Otherwise, we're going to get copyright infringement. So,
Whoop, there it is.
Whoop, there it is. That's all we got. No, actually, we can only go whoop. Just kidding. That was a really stupid joke. Okay. So, those days where you're just like, it's just things start piling on. It's just one of those days. Have you seen One Fine Day with Clooney and
Michelle Pfeiffer?
Michelle Pfeiffer. Thank you. Michelle Pfeiffer. Great movie. Basically about a day that just keeps getting worse and worse. So I had to laugh cry. It was one of those days where you just have to laugh because you'll cry. So I had to change my address. I'm moving soon. I had to go to the post office to change my address because it wasn't recognizing my new address online. So I go to the post office in Morrison, Colorado to change my address. Get that done. Morrison, Colorado is a very, very cute, tiny, tiny town and has one of those downtowns that when you drive by, you're just kind of like looking at everything because it's super cute. So I was kind of in a daze. I was being a little like airhead because I was looking around so much. I was at this pedestrian stoplight and I was just kind of looking around because there were so many fun pedestrians. You know those lights that are like one right after the other? Well, the light that I was at was red and then the one behind it turned green. And my brain saw that one. And then so I just like went through that red light.
The pedestrian red light?
The pedestrian red light.
Oh,
but no one was I had actually just admired a very cute couple with a dog cross the street. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, cute. And then I look and I see the light turn green, but not really. And as I'm rolling through this red light, there's a cop right staring straight at me. He is coming the opposite direction. So he's at the red light. He is at the red light. I am running.
Uh-oh.
And he points at me out the window and he's like, hey, like, what the F, lady? And again, it's a very tiny street. I was probably going 5 miles. I was going so slow. So it's not like I was just like So he pulls me over. He turns around and pulls me over. I'm also on my way to my new house because I have to meet with a landscaping guy. So I'm like, shoot, I'm going to be late. And this guy's pulling me over. And you know those moments where you feel like the biggest airhead, but you want so badly to explain to someone that doesn't know you that you're actually a good person and you're not an airhead? Like, I just wanted to be like, I am a really good person. I follow the rules. I'm not this airhead. I just had a lapse in judgment that I made a very dumb mistake. So luckily he gave me a warning and he was like, you went and then the lady behind you went because she was taking your cue. So 2 people ran the red light because of me.
How is that your fault?
It's not. But, but like he was just showing that like I caused a like whole slew of bad decisions. So he was, again, thank you, officer, for not giving me a ticket. It was just a warning. And at the end, I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm moving to this town soon and I promise to follow the rules. He's like, okay. So then the day doesn't end. Okay. So this is my next story. So like toppling on top of this mountain, I go to the new house to meet with the landscaper. I was there a little early, even though I got pulled over. I was there a little early. So I decided to like just take a peek in our house. The door was open. There were some workers that were probably in that morning. So I was like, oh, I'm going to just run in really quick and get some video because the house is almost done. You're like really excited. And I walk in and I'm starting to take video. And I'm used to like Red Bulls and Gatorades around the house because, workers just leave their beverages out. But I look to the left and there's like this kind of sitting room in the front. And there's this huge 24 pack of Twisted Tea sitting there. And I'm like, Twisted Tea?
You've never had it?
No, but I'm like, are you saying you have?
Hold on. Isn't this?
I have.
It's Southern, right? I feel like the
Is
Southern, or I don't know. Miles was at a party. They had Twisted Tea.
Well, exactly. Kids drink it. Like, Rebecca, you said.
I've known adults to drink it on float trips, okay?
Okay, float trips, fair. Yeah.
I don't think it's very good.
Yeah, apparently it's like pretty disgusting. So I look over, I see this 24 pack and I'm like, that's weird. I don't think the workers are drinking on the job. Then I look over and there's a human-sized hole in one of our walls. Like the Kool-Aid man just walked in. And so
Hey.
No, that's Fat Albert.
That's true. I got my Kool-Aid man
and Fat
and
Albert
other people mixed up.
Whatever noise they make, he makes. I was like, oh my gosh. So the long and short of this whole day was I called the builder and I was like, hey, I'm here for a landscaping appointment, but I just need to know if this was an accident or if this is like legit. Maybe they needed to rip open the wall and rewire something. It did not look like that. And he like bolts over and he's like, I'm so sorry. Some kids busted into the house the other night and they had a party in your house and they busted down this wall. We're fixing it right now. And I wasn't like mad because it's not his fault. And this probably happens all the time on construction sites. It's a vacant house. And there was he goes, yeah, I could tell that they were kids. He's like, I could tell it was kids because the Twisted Tea cans had holes in them. They were shotgunning Twisted Teas. He's like, I'm pretty sure adults aren't shotgunning Twisted Tea.
I would say that could happen on a float trip.
I would say I wish I was 15 or 16 or however those kids were and I was at the party. It sounds amazing. Joy,
like
your new house
time.
sounds like a great time.
Well, I was like, yeah, they just blessed the party house. Like, hey, you know what? Have it. And now my husband was like, we have to serve Twisted Tea at our like housewarming party. Like, what a great story. This is so hilarious. Like in the grand scheme of things, there wasn't like a lot of damage. Like granted, like the hole was ginormous and it busted through into the bathroom next to it, but they were fixing it. And I just like went home and I was so overwhelmed from my adrenaline was all crazy. My nervous system was shot from being pulled over. And then I can laugh at it now, but at the time I was freaking out because I'm like, this is a lot of money. And you like start questioning all those decisions, like those financial decisions of like buying a big house and are we doing the right thing? And oh my gosh, is this an omen? And it's fine, I'm over it. But that was my laugh cry day because it was just a lot. It was a lot in 2 hours that happened. I slept very well that night.
Yeah, this is also, I just have to bring out the therapy fact here.
I appreciate it.
This is what happens when we shove emotions all day.
Yes.
So you got pulled over and then you're
point.
like, oh, I broke the law. And then you see the cop and then your body gets flooded with all those feelings. And you didn't want to be like an airhead, which I might have gone to the airhead way and been like, oh, I'm so sorry. I might have just played that card. But you were being a responsible adult. You were wanting to be seen as a responsible new pillar of the community. You shoved all those emotions down. I know when I see a cop behind me, my heart like races. And then when they talk about a trigger, then you go to your house and you see the twisted tees and the hole in the wall. And you're like, what is happening? And you have to be a grown up. You can't just freak out.
I
Call.
can't just like grab a twisted tea and start drinking.
I mean, you could have. A different person might have done that. But Joy was really responsible.
I called the builders and I was like, hey, what's going on? And I really, you know what I did too, is I was a little codependent and I tried to make the builder feel comfortable because I felt like he was waiting for me to rip his head off. So that's another thing that I did was I was trying to make him feel okay. So I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? Oh my gosh, kids had a party. Ha ha ha. Twisted tea. I was like making jokes because I was so uncomfortable. So that's like enough.
Is that how you sounded? Because I want to meet that Joy sometime because that is hilarious.
Me too. I was just thinking, like, who is this Joy that we never knew, Rebecca? We need more time together, Joy.
Clearly.
Yes.
Clearly, you don't want to know that, like, bubbly, trying to make everyone... No, it was just, I'm making fun of myself because it was so annoying. Because I'm like, why can't I just be a little angry and upset that this happened? But at the same time, it wasn't his fault. But you're right, Chelsea. Like, to your point, I stuffed so much that day, and to where I call it like the feeling like you took a test brain because you've processed so many emotions. It feels like you took a test after 4 hours of taking a really hard test. When you leave, you're like, oh, my brain just hurts from all of this processing and thinking. And so, yeah, I'm glad you said that because it's like, that's why I was so tired that night. I just completely passed out. My nervous system was just shot, but it was a laugh cry.
Oh,
it was definitely
Joy.
A laugh cry. It's fine now. Yeah. But at the moment, I was like feeling it all.
It reminds me of when my daughter, she hated going to school. And every time I would pick her up, she would, as soon as we got home, she would unravel and sob. And at school, they were like, she was fine. She was fine. And I'm like, well, she's been shoving her emotions all day. And when little Johnny was a jerk, she sucked it up and she was strong. And I mean, and as adults, we do this. So I think it was really healthy that you were able to release and come back into your own sense of self. Joy, thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Okay. Who's next? Can I pass it to you, Chelsea?
Oh, I was going to nominate Rebecca, but Rebecca's naughty. Okay. My laugh. Okay. I've won the lottery in life with women. My girlfriends are the biggest ride or die, badass, beautiful, amazing human beings. In fact, I even told Steve, I was like, you don't even need to have girlfriends because all of mine are amazing. Like, you can just be friends with them. So
It's a reflection of you, Chelsea. Just,
well,
just FYI.
That's a really nice compliment and I will accept it. But these women are amazing. I adore them. So one of my girlfriends, her name is Natalie. She helps to get services and money for kids who have autism. She basically advocates for the families and it's hardcore. She like has to know the system in and out. And she has 3 autistic kids herself. She's been going through her own grief and loss. So my admiration for the work she does brings me to tears. So what happened is one of my sister's friends needs help getting services for her daughter. And so I gave the referral and they connected. And my friend was like, oh, so-and-so reached out. And I went to bed that night in tears with the biggest smile. It's going to make me tear with the biggest smile on my face because I think of the people out there doing this life-changing work. And when you fall into luck, I guess, because you know somebody and you can give that lending hand or you can give that, lives can be changed. And that to me, like it blows me away how God, the universe, people work to just do this good work that you're like not getting paid. You're not getting paid hardly anything to do. You're just doing it because it matters. So that was my cry of just being like, oh my gosh, somebody who these people would never know each other if it wasn't for my sister was talking to me on the phone saying her friend really needed help with this. And I was like, oh my gosh, my girlfriend's doing this now and bringing that together. So I hope it all works out. That was my cry. My, oh God, now I'm like a little snot nose.
I'll give you a second here to compose yourself. No, but like just to say, I love angels on the earth like that. That truly, there's just, I think so many of us do good things in the world, but there's something really special about those types of people. I really think they're angels on earth. Like you see stories on the news of the people that are like doing stuff that they don't want attention for it. You know, they're like the last person to want recognition.
Thank you, Joy. And then my laugh was one of my other girlfriends came to visit in Gulf Shores. So there's so many laughs when I'm with her. Kelly is her name. I adore her. There's so many laughs when I'm with her. But I taught her a dance move. Kelly and Eric, if y'all are listening, I hope you can get with this move. I do a dance with Steve. So Kelly was like, what kind of dance do you do? And I'm like, oh, we have this, like, you shimmy in, you shimmy out. But then I have this, I'm going to show you on my chair. You wrap your leg around like this and you hook them.
Okay.
And it's called the hook.
Okay.
And
It kind of looks like if you're like doing kickboxing, you're doing a back kick. Yeah.
Yes, but you're just wrapping it around like it's a quick wrap around. And so sometimes if I'm getting a little bit extra fun, I'll see like somebody who's my friend, they're walking by and I'll come up and dance close to them and then I'll hook them.
And then you'll get the hook. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they're in or you're like stuck. So we hung out all day. Oh, and then I was teaching her husband the pivot, like for mental health, the pivot, because, you know, when we're
Oh, I thought that was a dance move, but you're actually...
No. Just the therapeutic pivot, what I call the pivot, is when, you know, energy's not working for you and you pivot.
Yeah.
So we were talking about those two things, and later on that night, they had been having a great time, hanging out, having drinks, all the things. She's back at her, at the beach house, and she messages me and she says, Eric's really into the pivot, but I just can't get him into the hook.
I'm trying to understand the hook part. So you put your leg, you hook the person like with your leg?
Yeah, it's almost like you're doing a back kick, but
it's like a hug with your leg?
With your leg.
Yes, with one leg. And then you can kind of bump up. You like bump it up. It's a little uncomfortable when the other person doesn't know what it makes it.
Okay, I need a video of this.
Yeah, so like if you're doing a back kick and you just hook them with your leg, so they're behind you.
So they're hooking you too, though.
Oh, no, they're not. They're getting hooked.
They're getting hooked.
Okay, listen, I'm pretty sure I have a video. I'm pretty sure my sister once took a video of Steve and I dancing, and I think the hook was in it. Yeah. So I might be able to find it.
You can make a video and put that on our Laugh Cry
Club social Steve media. Dance with me.
Steve dance with you and be like, I got to show everyone the hook. So he's on the hook for showing the hook.
That's right. Okay.
Yes.
Rebecca.
Oh, these are great. Thanks, everybody. So I have to say, in the last week, I laughed so many different times because I was on vacay with my bestie. And when we get together, we're like 14 years old. We act really immature. And it's so funny. Like, there was so much laughter, but I needed it. So picking one was difficult. But we were having lunch at this place. We just first arrived and thought, let's grab some lunch on this patio. And this guy, when we were waiting to get a table, had done like a cartwheel. And I'm like, wow, he's like really on vacation mode. I'm like, wow, Canada really brings it out in people. This is great. So we're sitting, enjoying the mountain air. And then all of a sudden, I hear somebody singing, all by myself. And I'm like, I'm a huge Celine Dion fan.
I mean, the past few episodes we have mentioned Celine Dion, so I think we have to mention her every episode from now on. Yeah,
Celine Dion. And I love her. And so I heard him singing that, and then all of a sudden I started, don't wanna be all by. So I just kept going, and it's like we did a call and response. Oh. He walked around the corner. He's like, oh my gosh. He's like, I have to meet you. This has never happened to me. And like, there's a picture of us like embracing. I'll post it. I don't even know this guy.
That's so cute.
He was a rando, as Chelsea would call.
I love a rando. Look at you, introvert, getting into someone else's lane. Isn't that fun?
I was so close. I could have done the hook, but I did not. Yeah, so that was really funny. And then he probably would have enjoyed it because he just went to the parking lot and got high afterwards. So I'm like, that's probably why he was doing a cartwheel in the restaurant.
Because he might have had a twisted tea too.
It's recreational marijuana is legal in Canada, everybody.
FYI.
Yeah. And so another really funny moment was we're driving along and my wife is really hilarious. She has like this really dry sense of humor. So sometimes funny things just pop out and you're not even expecting it. Like the whole Les Mis comment from like a few episodes ago.
She's had a really couple good ones too that you've told us that she just sounds hilarious. Yeah.
You're just going to totally know of her funny stuff. So, we're driving in this car. Somebody says something pretty serious. And then she's in the back seat with me. And she just all of a sudden is like, well, that's life, baby. And everybody died hysterically. So all weekend long, anything that happened, it was like, well, that's life, baby. And that was the whole thing that we said.
I love a tagline on vacation. Then you come back and that's like your secret joke, your inside
There were
joke.
so many taglines. I mean, it would take a whole episode. I can't say them here, but yeah. That was my laugh.
That's
laughing.
So fun.
Laughing so hard I was even crying on this trip. But my cry has to do with, going to see a new therapist. First, I had to fill 19 pages of paperwork out.
What?
That's another story. I would say all the therapists out there, don't have people fill out 19 pages of paperwork. It's unnecessary.
Unnecessary. And you can actually say that with authority because you are a therapist.
Because I am a therapist.
And
Yes.
nobody wants to do 19 pages of anything.
No, it was ridiculous. I get there. I know what my benefits are. I am very lucky to have really great mental health benefits. I actually have to pay zero money when I go see a therapist because my copays are covered by where I work. Excellent benefits. And I go and they're like telling me how much this is going to cost. And I'm like, yeah, my benefits, cover this. And she's like, well, I ran your benefits through Blue Cross Blue Shield and it's saying you owe $111 this time and then something next time. And I was already stressed out. So I kind of started panicking and freaking because I'm like, I already knew I didn't owe anything. And I just wanted to start talking about what was going on. And then I'm like, what? Like, this is wrong information. And so then I got stressed out about that. And I'm like, fine, I'll just pay it. Oh, because she told me she doesn't do refunds either. And that Chelsea's face.
I'm having a lot of big feelings about this right now.
She told me she didn't do refunds. And I'm like, no, 100%. Like, I'm paying you $111 and you're not going to refund it. Like, this was going to be an issue. But she's like, well, I know you're saying this, but I can't trust what you're saying. I have to go with what the insurance told me. And I've dealt with insurances before. I kind of get it, but I don't think I would have ever charged somebody. That's just a whole nother story. But so I like pay it. And she said, if we do find like you've overpaid, then what I typically do for people is they pay like $10 for like meditation work in addition. And I'm thinking, wait, I don't want to pay $10 for meditation.
Hold on, don't you work at a meditation company?
And
I do.
You get meditations for free. Wait. Why are they charging you more?
Exactly. Because to take care of the bill that she doesn't want to refund me. So
I'm going to charge you more for this bill that you don't owe.
This is totally setting me off. Like, we're having a new relationship, right? And so I'm a therapist, so I'm looking at it through that lens, and I'm like, oh Lord, I feel so sorry for any other client that walks in here. Like, this is just a really poor setup and
vulnerable
stressful.
And scared going in.
Yeah.
Like, what a great example of what we talked about before, where you're like walking into something and then you deal with that unexpected.
Yeah. So, I'm like, fine, I'll just pay it so we can get the session going. I had to put a credit card on file and I got home. I called my insurance. Of course, I had to spend an hour on the phone with Blue Cross because it takes forever. But the woman was amazing that helped me. She sent me the benefit information. She called the clinician. She said she's going to keep calling them, connected, and basically told her, no, I don't owe anything, that it's covered. So called her and I said, I know you said you don't do refunds, but I don't owe anything. And so she refunded it.
Oh, I'm so glad. But also the whole charging you $10 more
for meditation. I'm like,
I normally have a
or
lot of words.
mindfulness. And
yeah,
I'm like,
I've got none. This is okay. Was this? I don't even want to ask about the session. Should we ask about the session?
I mean, how was the session?
You can.
How was it?
Yeah, how was it?
I mean, it was mediocre. I think it was okay.
It was mid. As my kids would say, it was mid.
Mid.
Oh, is that the new slang?
Yeah.
It was
that's
mid.
the shortcut word for it.
Yeah, I would say I did get to talk about some stuff. She seemed to agree with me, which really helped. I'm like, just agree with me. No. But, and then I set up another session. I was debating on if I was going to go again. So I did decide to go ahead and try it again. That was much better. I have a whole nother story about that so now I'm deciding, I don't know if it's really helpful for me or if this is just me gathering information about what not to do in therapy. So we'll see. To be continued.
Yeah.
But so that made me cry because I was really stressed out even about the whole therapy thing, the 19 pages. And now I know for a fact I owe $0 and you're charging me like $111 and the next time you're going to charge me some more. And I didn't have the wits about me. Do you ever get that so anxious feeling where you're just like kind of freeze and you're like, okay, yeah, here's my card.
1,000%.
Because you can't think like, well, no, I'm just leaving living now.
And
because you're
it's
like the little kid in
sunk
trouble,
costs.
right?
Yes, like sunk costs where you're like, I've already been here. I showed up. I made the appointment. I made the time. And then you don't want to seem like you're not trusting them, but then you're kind of like, but wait a minute, don't you trust me that my insurance? Yeah, that's hard.
You're right. That's true, Joy. Like she wasn't trusting me. And I mean, why would I lie about that when I know 100%?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sorry that happened.
Giving it 2 thumbs down. I'm not into it.
I am not giving a 5-star review.
I'm giving it absolutely 2 thumbs down.
Well, this is so relatable, I'm sure, for a lot of people out there just so you know, everyone out there, going to therapy is hard for us. This is exactly, we go through the same stuff. This is a perfect example. I'm sorry it happened to you, Rebecca, but and it makes me more empathetic of clients of just kind of even figuring out benefits. That's such a hard world to navigate, to then be really compassionate if they have questions about it, to make sure that you're helping them figure it out. I know that's hard in private practice for people to kind of get involved in that piece, so I'm not discounting it, but it's real. If you have benefits that cover mental health, you want to make sure that that is something that's easy for you to use. Not everyone can just like drop down a credit card and be like, well, I guess I'll figure it out if this is paid or not. Yeah, it's a hard system to navigate. But the point too is like you showing up in a space of being very vulnerable because this is a new relationship and you want any like snafu is just going to totally throw off your energy.
Right. You know, when I was in private practice, I always ran benefits before, returned a phone call to the person to let them know, like, this is your out-of-pocket costs. Do you still want this session?
That's great. Yeah. And I know a lot of doctors' offices do that now, which I think is so smart. I know it's a lot of upfront work, and private practice therapists don't have a ton of that time because not a lot of private practices that I know of, unless you have like work with a group practice, have someone to do some of that admin work. Keep us posted.
I will, because I'm sure there's going to be so much information and stories that come out of this journey.
Just record all of your therapy sessions and we'll just play.
Okay, that's a whole nother session about record your therapy sessions if your therapist doesn't know it's being recorded.
Holy hell, you guys. Yeah, please don't do that. That is not okay. That's going to be behind the Patreon wall. I think eventually we'll do a Patreon and we'll just record all of our therapy sessions.
I think this kind of moves us then into acceptance, right? That I ended up having to get to some point of accepting that was my reality in that moment. And with this therapist, it's not what I really wanted. It's not how I wanted it to happen. But I had to just say, this is what's going on. Now I have to call my freaking insurance company, which I do not want to spend an hour of my life calling, trying to correct this mistake.
So the topic of acceptance came up kind of as we were going through topics for this podcast. And one of them that comes up often that I think everyone can relate to is we're kind of taught or guided, especially in the meditation world, of not accepting, but like being present, staying present and just kind of being in the now. How do you do that when objectively your quote unquote now is really sucky or really hard? Like it just isn't a great scenario. Maybe you're going through a really hard grief period of your life, whatever it may be. What do we do in those moments to kind of get through it? Because it almost feels like, if we kind of stay in the now or just accept it and not fight against it, it almost feels like we're gaslighting ourselves in a way.
I think there's a few different types of acceptance. So there's the acceptance where you're in the moment and there's absolutely nothing you can do. You're completely paralyzed. You're completely helpless. And that is the most present you'll ever be in your entire life. So I think about that with a car accident. I think about that when there's terrorism, when people have been in war, when I've worked with military vets, like they are in it and you are 100% present because there's nowhere else to go except to accept that you're in that moment. Then I think about the acceptance that you have to work through. So I think about that like when I've had a loved one who has been in very abusive relationships. And that has been very hard for me to witness that, to watch that for years and years and years and years. So how do you so will I ever accept that that's the reality? No, but I can accept this person and love them for where they're at. And I can put up boundaries that help to protect me emotionally. So I think we have acceptance where we have to like really do the work to work through it. And then we have the acceptance that we are in because it was given to us and we have no choice. And then we're doing the work that comes from that too. So there's kind of two parts. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I was just thinking about what you were saying as far as when you're in it, because I think that can sometimes be almost like you're in the fight, flight, freeze mode of your body reacting, maybe more in the emotions. And there's really nothing else you can do in those moments. And then because there's a lot of times I can go existential with a lot of these ways of thinking. It's like, why do bad things happen to good people? You know, that is something I often think about. And that is definitely a thought, but you know, I could sit and think all day about why good things happen or why bad things happen to good people. Those are things we're never going to have the answer to. If we stay stuck in those things, like the just of the world, we're like, why did this happen to me? Like, what would you do if a patient was like, why is this happening to me? I feel like I'm a good person, therefore only good things should happen to me. Like I'll often hear this too with like people who've lost loved ones tragically. And then they're like, yeah, but then we have this a-hole that lives next door, does horrible things, whatever. You know what I mean? Like the justness gets really hard to accept. And I think that's a piece that I like really struggle to kind of not sit with, but there's no good answer for that other than just like the world isn't fair. And that's like a hard reality to accept. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm going to answer your question, Joy, with wise words from my husband. So everybody knows, I think already, my husband's been going through stage 4 cancer for the past 2.5 years. It's been absolutely brutal, has brought our family to our knees on a regular basis. And I asked him once, I said, do you ever think, why me? And he looked at me and he said, no, I think, why not? Because we're human beings.
Yeah.
There's no fairness.
Yeah.
There's just no fairness. And so it sounds like a really shitty response, but I'm taking this response from somebody who every single day makes a choice to show up and live the most quality of life that they possibly can with devices and medical complications and chemo and all of those different things. And it's been a testimony to me to look at acceptance and say, it reminds me of the Holocaust of Viktor Frankl. He says that, you know, we can't choose our circumstances, but our free will is to choose our attitude and our choices of how we show up. And that's where I go with acceptance when I'm thinking of individuals who I work with. Like, what do you have control over? Like the sky is still blue. The birds are still outside. You still have all these other things. It doesn't take away from the pain of what you're going through, but life continues to go on. And that's very painful too, in acceptance. Like every time I would leave the hospital, I would walk outside and would be like, how are people just walking around? They're just getting food in Manhattan, shopping, having a great time. It felt so brutally unfair. Yeah. So it's holding space for the two things, right? Life is still going on. How do we find those micro moments? And it's this continual process, I think, to come back to what I call various versions of hell that my family's been through. Like, I'm like, oh, now we're in a new version of hell that we didn't know before. And one day we hope that it's not hard.
I want to mention Man's Search for Meaning, I think is the book you're...
Yes.
Yeah.
By Viktor Frankl.
And I think you mentioned it before too. It's if people want to read that book, it's so powerful. But really quickly, we also wanted to say that when you were talking, I'm like, I kind of get chills thinking like, this is the whole reason why we started this podcast, is those really extremes of life and how we have to live in the both and of the laughing moments and the crying moments. And so as you're saying that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's exactly why we're living in, like, hopefully we don't always have to live in those extremes. You don't always have to live in the extremes of like feeling that grief, Chelsea, and then also seeing life kind of move on or continue as people are just like laughing and joking. I think about when I've experienced an extreme loss, and when you kind of go out into the world, you're like, isn't the world supposed to stop? Because like, I can't like jump back in the world right now. Why are people having such a good time? Like your brain can't live in those extremes, and it's really, really hard. But like you said, like, this is being a human. This is what we do. This is why we're here.
I want to add too that acceptance doesn't mean indifference or that you're okay with what's happening, because you're not. If you look at the definition of acceptance, it seems pretty clear that it means that I'm supposed to take ownership, or I'm totally okay with the situation. I really feel in this way, like we probably in this field should come up with another way of another word for acceptance, because I think of it as acceptance is acknowledgement. Like, I acknowledge that this event is happening, this situation is occurring. I acknowledge I am having some sort of medical issue happening to me. Doesn't mean I surrender to it, or I don't fight or try to make my situation situation better. But you just acknowledge this is happening, focus on reality. Like in reality, we don't have control of certain things that happen to our bodies or our loved ones or our pets. They happen. And so we all have to kind of recognize that change happens, the inevitable does happen, that everybody does leave this planet at some point. That's really hard to deal with and to process, but it doesn't mean that you're okay with it, that you have to just sit and not fight. This comes up a lot, I think, for, say, like chronic pain patients. I've seen this with chronic pain patients because most therapists, when you're working with chronic pain, are going to do a lot of acceptance and commitment therapy, regulating emotions. So yeah, these terrible things are happening. You've gone to doctor after doctor, and they're all saying like, you don't know, or this is in your mind. And, that's a terrible thing to say to somebody. And then they're like, all these people are writing me off, but I am really having these sensations or symptoms in my body, and I really want them to stop. I want to get better. And so when a therapist, a lot of times you might go to the therapist and do some work on this, and you talk about acceptance. It's not meaning like you give up that you have a chronic illness and you just sit at home and do nothing. No, it's finding a way to still maybe try to improve your circumstances, but acknowledging this is happening to me.
That is such a good kind of full circle when you just said that, because I'm thinking of just acknowledging. I love the acknowledging versus like coming up as this acceptance, because acceptance immediately makes me think like, well, I have to be okay with it. Acceptance to me equals like, okay. Very similar to when people are when we were talking about forgiveness, where it's like it immediately kind of goes to the space of okay, but the acknowledgement versus like stuffing down your feelings. The reason that you want to acknowledge it is that you can look at it and do something about it. Where people may struggle more is if we've seen it, people stuff their feelings, and that can work for a period of time, but eventually stuff will start to come out in ways that you don't feel good about, or you'll find unhealthy coping mechanisms. But I think we should change it to acknowledge.
I think acknowledging, and then there's one more layer underneath it, that when we practice acknowledgement, acceptance, there is an opportunity to have radical self-preservation so you don't lose yourself. What happens when we're in denial, or we stay in anger, or we stay in these other big feelings, emotions, it's not fair, why me, I'm the victim. When we stay in that, you will completely lose yourself. So I've looked at the hard times in my life, and that has been, I call it radical self-care, where I am going to swim uphill as hard as I can. I'm going to fight as hard as I can. And I'm going to lean into every single human, individual, anybody in my life who can be by my side. Like I'm going to try and remember who I am throughout this whole entire process. And what happens when we isolate, when these things happen, is we lose ourselves. We lose our connection. We don't want to be a burden. We don't want to be this. And it's hard. I'm not saying it's not hard. It's very hard to call up a friend and be like, oh my gosh, and unravel. But it keeps you tethered to that acknowledgement that this is hard. I'm going through this really tough thing, and you don't lose yourself. So there's a lot of fight in acceptance where I look at you're fighting for yourself. You're fighting to not lose who you are and to not make the suffering be, I say this, I don't want the suffering to be in vain. So I could, crawl up in a corner and just, shut down. But instead, I'm going to radically show up. And it often feels very counterintuitive because grief is, it's so counterintuitive. Again, it's like the really big opposites.
You don't want the suffering to be in vain. This could be another 10 sessions, I feel like. This is super helpful. I love talking to you guys about all this stuff. What you said about acknowledgement, Chelsea, what you said about it does feel counterintuitive, but ultimately it's what makes us grow and get through it.
Can I give you guys an example real quick too? And I don't know if this, I'm not going to judge myself. I was going to say this could be trivial, but I'm not going to do that because we're working on, let's not do that. Right? My dog, Charlie, aka Chucky, loved him to death. He was getting older, and I knew it was going to become a time when he wasn't going to be here. And he passed away a few years ago at 14 years old. And he was like my first dog as an adult. I had him since I was a puppy and loved him fiercely. And I'm probably going to get choked up about it because I loved him that much. But I knew he was going to die. So I had to accept that and acknowledge it. And for me, what I decided to do was I I'm like, I've got to process this. So I took a 6-month pet grief certification and for myself, but I thought I could also help a lot of people with it. That I'm a certified pet grief support specialist now to help people with pet grief. And I learned so much through that, and it really helped me kind of prepare myself for his loss that obviously happened. But, I feel like that's an example of I acknowledged this was going to happen. I totally did not want it to happen. I was really sad about it, but I took some action to help myself by, gaining knowledge to try to ease that pain that was going to happen. Of course, it was extremely painful still, but
yeah,
I feel like it did ease it.
You're kind of like going towards it. You were like going towards the okay, this is something I have to go through and I want to learn more, and it doesn't take away the pain. It's kind of like what Brene Brown says is like, you can't like outsmart vulnerability. You can't outsmart it. Like you can't get around it. You can't do all the preparation. So yeah, that's for another episode. I know we have to wrap up, but I just love this conversation.
Yes.
You guys are the best. Next week, we are going to have a conversation around grief.
Yes.
So if people want to write in, you can email us suggestions or ideas or anything that you want us to talk about. laughcryclub@gmail.com. And then you can find us on all the social media outlets at Laugh Cry Club. Friendly reminder that we love 5-star reviews and comments.
Only 5 stars.
Only 5 stars.
Actually, the comments.
The app won't let you click anything less than 5 stars. So just 5
Is
stars.
that what
Is
happened?
that true?
I thought there was a glitch, but I was just like, I'll accept it.
I knew there wasn't a glitch. I knew we've been 5 stars this year.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. And we're going to have a great discussion next week on grief and loss and moving through it. So glad you're all here with us.
And I want to leave us with a Freudian quote that I used to have in my therapy office. And I think it's on my email signature. It says, one day in retrospect, the years of struggle will be the most beautiful. One day you will look back and see the growth and like, Rebecca, your empowering choices that you made and now how that's helping all these other people. Like one day there will be beauty in it. And I truly believe that. So I'm giving you all virtual hugs, all the love, grateful, thankful.
We're glad you're in the club.
Yes.
Until next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
That's life, baby.